Hi, my name is David. Today we're going to do number 1232. Check if it is a straight line. This is an easy level problem on LeetCode, and we're going to solve it in JavaScript. We have here coordinates, which is an array, a 2D array, an array over an array. And these are x coordinate and this is a y coordinate. And we just plot these on a graph imaginarily. And we can want to see if it's a straight line or not. If it's a straight line, we return true. If it's not a straight line, we return false. So the idea behind this is that how can we tell if something is a straight line? Well, we have to go back at algebra, geometry, I forgot. And we have to look at the formula for slope, which is rise over run. So that's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we can know that if it has the same slope for each coordinate, it is a straight line. But there's also another case. Also, if it's a vertical line, because if it's a vertical line, this will be the same amount. So it's going to be an undefined 0. So if that's the case, that's also a condition where it is a straight line. So in order to solve this, let's look at the edge cases, the limitations first. We can see here that the length is at least 2. So we don't have to worry about it being no length, 0 length or such. And we know if there's only 2 points, we can return true. And that's gonna make our code more efficient. And because we're gonna have to iterate through this with like one above it, so it'll help us move a step when we iterate as well. We can just skip that too. So first thing is that we return true if length of coordinates is 2. Next thing we want to do is that we want to look at the edge case of it being a vertical line. So it will be a vertical line if the first 2 coordinates of the x coordinate is equal to each other. So if condition if first x2 and x1 are equal, we will loop through coordinates. And then when we loop through coordinates, we have to have a condition if the x value is equal to either one, x1. If it's not equal, we're going to find the cases where we return false, and we just return false. And if we make it through this loop without returning false, we return true. And now we're going to get the slope for the first 2 coordinates. Next, we will have to loop through coordinates. Condition if current slope is not equal to slope, we return false. And if we make it through this loop without returning false, we return true. Great. So first thing, we do the edge case. If coordinates dot length is equal to 2, return true. Now we check the x2, and I'm going to create a variable for each of these. So let x1 equals, so that's going to be looking at this, coordinates 0 at 0, and we're going to do this with x2, y1, and y2. So x2, we're looking at the second one. And then y, we're going to let the first index the second value. And y2 is 1 and 1. So now we do the vertical line first for if x2 is equal to x1. Now we find the conditions where it be false, which is when it won't be equal to either of these. If coordinates index of I at 0 does not equal to x1, we do a loop where I equals, starts off at 2, since this is the first 2. I is less than coordinates dot length I plus plus. Return false. And then if we don't return false, we return true. Great. And now we find a slope. Let slope, and just going to be just for the first 2. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now we loop through coordinates again for I equals 2, I is less than coordinates dot length I plus plus. And let me create a variable for let current slope equals coordinates. So this is the y2. So it's going to be I1 minus the 1 before that. So I minus 1. And now we divide it by the 0. Let me slide this. And then if slope does not equal current slope, we return false. And if it makes it through this without returning false, we return true. Great. Great. So the complexities is that this is a iteration and this is an inst iteration, but these will always be constants. There are always going to be 2 indexes within the inner array. So it's going to be O of n being the length of coordinates. And then the space complexity will be this is constant variables, constant, so it's going to be O of 1. So that's how you solve this problem. Thank you.